All right, welcome in everybody. This is something that's long overdue, Daniel. We are finally heading up to Eugene. We're going to talk Oregon athletics, specifically Oregon baseball. Anson, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We start with icebreakers, and I'm thrown completely off because I just had an ESPN alert. So I'm going to ask you about this because I did see that you played basketball in high school. You know, Joel Embiid just scored 70 points, which I find pretty fascinating. We're not talking about a guy who's shooting, 10 3-pointers in a game. We're talking about a big. Like, just how impressive is it for a big man to drop 70 these days?
Yeah, I mean the game's changed. I'm not a huge NBA follower. I wish I was. I love basketball. But yeah, somebody that's not shooting it from deep, you got to work for 70 points in the paint. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they dropped that stat out when this gets over with. I'm gonna see how many like rebounds he had. Be nice if he had like a solid 20 with it, 70 and 20. It'd be really some whoever had him in like some fantasy basketball, like they raked.
Yeah, they took off.
But I was gonna ask you about football. That, however, was planned. Have you been watching the playoffs? And if so, you got a team that you think's gonna win it all?
Yeah, Northern California bias. I grew up a Niners fan, so I love what they're doing. We've got some Packers fans on the team, so this last weekend was a good one for me and the other Niners fans. Even though I'm not, again, like I'm not a super diehard fan, it's just always good to see those guys winning.
Yeah,
It's hard to.
they're who I've had to win it, but man, I didn't get to watch much of the game, but I heard Debo Samuel's hurt, and that dude's a playmaker, so that would kind
Yeah,
of hinder me in thinking they might roll through everybody.
yeah, hard to do anything without playmakers like that. But it's hard to say. It's hard to think that the Chiefs are going to lose. They always, as much as you want to, as tired as you get of seeing them win, they keep doing it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see them.
Yeah, no
You know,
doubt. Like Daniel always says, you're the champ until somebody beats you, and as of right now, that's who they are. So regardless of what they've done all season, they're here where they always are. Want to talk to you, man. Seeing the pictures of, the stadium up there, snow everywhere. Obviously, Oregon's used to that. We're not used to that here. Somehow we've been having single digit temperatures, man, 6 inches of snow. Like, man, how do you deal with it? Because this weather ain't for me, man.
yeah, no, it's cold everywhere right now. We thought we were, miserable here, and it seems to be a lot colder in other places. We just got out of a week-long ice storm that really hit the brakes on just about everything. It's hard to practice when your field's under 6 inches of ice, and there's not a whole lot of fun to be had when it's not snow. Snow's one thing when things are soft and it just changes the scenery. It's really fun to walk around. But when every step you take, you think you're going to fall, it makes it a little bit difficult to move around.
Well, I'll tell you
So,
something. Daniel's not a big Instagram guy, but Daniel, I challenge you to go over to Instagram and look. I will tell you what Oregon did. They took advantage. They got sweet uniforms and colors. They went out there in that snow, did a little photo shoot, and I like that. Got the drip, literally got the ice. So, make the best of what you got, no doubt. I know the Ducks ain't out there flying though. That's for sure.
mhm.
All right, so let's talk music, man. People always want to know what's your favorite musician or band you'd like to listen to right now. Well, who are you really vibing with?
Right now, like I've got to be one of the bigger Chris Stapleton fans right now. He's just about all I've been listening to for the last couple of weeks. And I've always been a big fan of his music, but more so recently, especially when I dove into picking a walk-up song uh, for this year. So I wanted to go with one country song, and this summer I did Second One to Know, which is in one of his newer albums.
Was he
Uh,
the best national anthem of all time?
I think so. That's something that modern day, is pretty up there. Gives you the chills listening to it. And you see the emotions of the guys on the field. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he absolutely killed it. People can always have debate, but I think no matter what, he's in the conversation for sure as the best. Last
Yeah.
one, man, and then we'll get into your story. This is a show about sports. So ultimately, man, what was or who is your favorite athlete, growing up?
Grown up, it had to be Buster Posey. He was one of them. I love watching Tom Brady. Um, but definitely Posey being the catcher and being a huge baseball fan, also a Giants fan. So seeing that guy play, was pretty ridiculous. And again, like I watching my dad watch Giants games, and then as I got older and got into social media stuff, the first thing I'd look up on YouTube would always be Buster Posey highlights and other, Hall of Fame catchers. So he's definitely one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Buster, I mean, just being in Florida, which is where I am, Buster Posey, obviously going to school, at Florida State, being so close to that, like he is, touted as one of the best. And
Right.
when he was with the Giants, still very, in my opinion, it took a while for him to kind of get the recognition he deserved. And I don't know why. I think he maybe just, he's not that vocal guy that, you know, big personality. He's very kind of reserved, but he's going to get after, he's going to get the job done. Um, I can kind of see what you do in him, just through highlights and things that I've seen and read. But before we get into the baseball side of things, obviously we got to know a little bit about you growing up and all that good stuff. So talk to me a little bit about your hometown. Where are you from?
I'm from Auburn, California, which is a
Auburn.
small town east of Sacramento, basically splitting Sacramento and Lake Tahoe.
All
So
right.
I get up there in the foothills a little bit, away from the city. And it's got the small town feel, it's expanded a lot. There's a lot of more people moving up that way from the Bay. There's a lot more money in the town now than there used to be.
What is
Um,
what is it known for? Like if you were going to go back home, what's the one thing that you would have or do or see?
there's a lot of history in Auburn, but what it's known for amongst like people in the area has got to be Taco Tree is one of them. It's like a Auburn only
I mean,
fast food restaurant, which
you had me
is
at taco, bro. I mean,
it blows Taco Bell out of the water. Uh, it was the OG Chipotle. Um, but yeah, so that's what it's really known for. But there's other places like Ikeda's that's right off the highway. When I say Auburn, people are like, "Oh, you guys are the In and Out on the way to Tahoe." I'm like, "Yeah, that's."
well, I
There's a
mean,
lot.
you got places like taco trees. I love it. I love it. So obviously, high caliber athlete. So where do you get it from? Tell me about your family dynamics. You got mom and dad in the picture. You got brothers, sisters. Everybody's an athlete. Everybody got, the highest level of athleticism. What's the deal?
So my parents are happily married. Grew up with them. I have a younger sister named Lila, who is also an athlete and claims to be the athlete of the family. Um, I'll get to that later on, but I'll start with my dad. Dad was a huge sports fan growing up, played everything in high school, and then went to college, moved to Italy, and now owns a bar. So he didn't play many sports past high school, but has always been a super fan and knew enough about the games to be my first coach and everything. He coached my soccer team, little league teams, even got into basketball. And he's 5'8". He's not a basketball guy, uh, but my mom grew up. My grandparents own a ranch in Auburn, a 24-acre cattle ranch, and my mom's side of the family is big in rodeo. So my mom college rodeoed, and my uncle is a Hall of Fame bull rider and one of the founding riders of the PBR. So that's my biggest athlete of the family. I'd definitely say it's him, and a lot of the toughness and athleticism, and all those little things that come with rodeo, like balance and the work ethic, probably stems from that way, as well as just seeing the way my dad, operates his own business.
I mean,
Uh,
bull riding, that's the original X game.
yeah, no,
I mean, you have to be a badass to ride a bull, period.
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
mentally, you have to
it's
be
it's
dialed
it's
in
more than a
mentally.
battle. Yeah,
I mean,
no,
you
it's
got to be on a different level than people to, one, think about it, and two, to actually do it. Um,
yeah.
Tell me about this bar, man. In Italy? Like where in Italy? And
So
what
no,
was the idea behind doing that?
yeah. So my dad went to college, then moved to Italy, and then his dad's big in business in Auburn, and bought a building, a commercial building, and pitched the idea to him to move home and open a bar in Auburn. And since then, now it's got to be coming up on 25 plus, maybe 30 years of him owning his own sports bar called Pistol Pete's. His name's Pete Aroz. Pistol Pete's Brew and Q. So it's a pool house, sports bar. They serve some food now, and great place for live music. It's kind of the oldest, most established bar in Auburn for sure.
Nice, nice. So growing up, your dad's kind of in everything. Um, was there any pressure from him to you to play sports, or is it something that you just gravitated to naturally?
I mean, as far as I can remember, I've always wanted to. There was nothing that he forced me to do by any means. He definitely raised me in a outdoor athletic manner. I was holding the baseball when I was 2, before I can even remember. So there's part of that he surrounded me with the sports, and I couldn't be more grateful for it. And then provided the opportunity as soon as I was old enough to get involved in youth team sports.
Right. So at some point, obviously when you start at 2 and as you get into it, it's fun and figuring the game out. But at what point does baseball become serious for you?
It probably hit. Well, I took things serious. Like I was one of the most serious kids you could meet. I was happy as I'll get, but I didn't like losing. I was one of I like to throw fits when I lost, and I took my competitiveness really serious. So when I got involved in team sports, it wasn't always just for fun. We had a good friend group that played wiffle ball for fun, but when I played baseball, it was baseball season.
Shoot, we didn't
Same
even play wiffle ball for fun with Daniel.
No, man.
right?
I ain't see. Much like you, like I had to learn, like as a kid, how to be a good teammate. And I don't say that because I was just an asshole, but I was very serious about everything, and I wanted to win. And when I didn't win, like especially in baseball, because it's very humbling because you're gonna fail a lot.
Right.
And so it was really hard for me to like understand, like I'm playing a game of failure at some point, like it's going to become hard and you're going to fail and you're going to lose. But once I was able to do that, I feel like, becoming a good teammate is something that you kind of can develop into. But I can see your point, man, coming out the gate, like you want to win. Like that's why you play any type of game, is to win. Um, but obviously you take it serious enough and you develop and you grow. Is there travel baseball that you're playing, or what's the situation out in Oregon on the West Coast?
For
Yeah.
California.
So growing up in NorCal, it all started with Auburn Little League. I can't give them enough credit. Providing that platform for the group that we had come through. I can't. There's probably 10 plus D1 guys in a few years that rolled through this Little League program. And we just loved it. It was a great experience. And then luckily there was some good parents and put together some introductory travel ball that transitioned into some higher level travel ball. I went out to the Cooperstown Dream Park tournament when I was 12 that a lot of, big leaguers have been to, and it's a kind of famous youth tournament. And then once late middle school and high school hit, that's when that travel ball circuit really picks up. I got involved with Adam Farb and NorCal Travel Ball, and then Lance Franks and Chico Aces. I can't give them enough credit as well. They made me the mature player that I was in high school, and gave me a platform to really, showcase myself. And it turned into long summers every weekend on the road.
Yeah, we just talked to Aiden Jimenez, and he played with the NorCal, and he had nothing but great things to say about the organization. As far as how it's run, but also as the talent and the level of talent that you played. But you mentioned the Chico Aces.
Yeah.
That is a great name. I know it's
Yeah.
probably, Chico, California, and the Aces, it kind of probably fits, but like that is a baller ass name. Like, if I stepped on the field and the opponent was the Chico Aces, I'd be like, damn, here we go. This is gonna be rough today.
Yeah, and that's how it was growing up when I played for other teams. They were the best 12, 13-year team in the area. And I was happy that I was finally a part of it.
So was there a did you play high school ball? And if so, was there a competitive nature to it, or was travel ball like the thing?
The high school ball was big for us. In the small town, we have one high school, but there's a lot of neighboring towns that create a pretty competitive league in the foothills, trickling down into the Roseville, Rockland area, even into Sacramento. That Sacramento area baseball is no joke in high school. We've produced a lot of Division I players, pro players, that, and counting, we've got some high touted prospects coming out of there. So yeah, high school ball was serious. We played a full fall and a full season, even with the, few years that we were kind of small on numbers. One of the most memorable things from high school for me that I can't help but mention is my sophomore year, we had an 11-man roster on our varsity team. And of that 11, I think 6 went on to play college baseball, which was pretty impressive. And I think we won close to 20 games that year, with a very restricted roster.
I mean, you guys are just having to get after it every game and hope nobody gets hurt, and throwing, guys leaving the mound, going to play position, or vice versa, leaving a position, going straight to the mound. That's crazy. What's the name of the high school? Just curious.
Oxford High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, like, everything that you've done was a culmination of you being where you're at today. But you were a top 10 catching prospect in the country, according to Prep Baseball Report. You were number 9 on that list, while ranking in the top 25 by perfect game. You were named the first team all conference as a freshman, sophomore, and a senior with the COVID season, most of your junior season. You were named first team all Metro in 2021. You batted .386, home run, 17 doubles, 5 triples, 37 RBIs, 67 runs scored. Obviously you're figuring it out. At what point, in that, those accolades, do you go, man, I think I can take this to the next level?
I think getting involved with the right people. It was about 8th grade is when I decided that I wanted to do it. I didn't know that I could yet. I didn't know 100% that I was good enough. But I set my mind on this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to listen to the right people, and they're going to tell me how to do it. And part of that was polishing the catching skills. Part of that was committing to switch hitting. Another part was putting on 40 plus pounds, and lifting 6 days a week through high school. And that comes with a lot of sacrifices. I didn't get to be, a mess around in high school. I had a mom that made sure my grades were straight, and I was lucky enough to earn myself a 4.2 GPA, I think. But I took it serious, and I didn't leave any questions on what I was trying to do.
Hold on now. A 4.2 GPA. That's not luck, bro. Don't discredit yourself, man. I mean, when you're academically driven and you're athletically driven, but then you throw numbers like a 4.2 out, like 4.2 is like you're doing better than the best. Like,
and let's talk about it, Daniel, because I don't have it, set to talk about for college, but don't think I didn't see it when I was studying up on him. My man's been on the dean's list each year at Oregon too.
That's because mama's not gonna let him do anything other than that.
Mama don't mess around, dude.
That's right.
Don't come home for Christmas if you ain't got the grades.
Nope. I'm saying, I came home from a 5th grade, Wednesday, and she saw a D on one of my history tests, and I don't think I wasn't. I don't know what happened, but I don't remember that.
He tried to black out and forget it.
He was traumatized to the point.
Yeah.
He said he don't want that smoke anymore. So, hey, man, I feel you, dude. But obviously, you realize in 8th grade, hey, this is something I want. You work towards it. You hit milestones along the way. So at what point do colleges come knocking on the door or making phone calls or sending letters saying, hey, we want you to be a part of our team?
It kicked off for me freshman year. I grew up in the, in NorCal, and of course, being that you want to go to the big schools in that area. So for me, it was Cal Berkeley. I told everyone like, hey, I'm going to go to Cal. Like it's just what I wanted to do growing up because I didn't know what colleges really were, and I knew they had a good baseball team at the time. Of course, I was a huge Oregon football fan when I played football in middle school. But once I got into baseball, I was like, hey, Cal seems cool. I was big into engineering at the time, thought I was going to be, a scientist or whatever. Um, so I went to a couple of prospect camps there and was able to get an offer, I think, fall of my sophomore year. So that's when it kickstarted, like that's what it got rolling for me. And I talked to my parents and we decided that no matter what was going to happen, I was going to sit on offers until I could take official visits, which at the time was fall of your junior year. So I had a full year to make a decision, or basically just patiently wait and tell them like, hey, I hope you can respect my choice. Then I played through my sophomore year, had a good year. And then summer ball picks up and I went to one event called the NorCal World Series. And I played really well, probably one of my best days of baseball. I caught well, probably threw a 1-9 in the showcase stuff, and hit a home run in the game and played a little second base and made a couple of plays there. And after that weekend, that's what got it rolling for me. All it takes is getting yourself to the right spot and then performing in front of the right people,
Yeah.
and once you get eyes that have seen you play like that, then it really takes off. And I was lucky enough to get in contact with a lot of really good coaches and build some relationships and collect some offers and basically narrow it down to a few colleges that I wanted to take visits at, going into the fall of the junior year.
Do you think, like, obviously this is hypothetical, but let's say you didn't wait to make a decision. Let's say you made a decision out the gate. Do you think you have that type of day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't
Or
somebody that really.
do you think you're
I
gonna
said,
play it no matter what? You're gonna that's who you are. You're gonna have that day no matter what, regardless of whether you've committed or not.
yeah, I don't know if that exactly, like, there's so many variables that could have happened. But I think I would have been at that event. It was still a big time event in NorCal, even for pro scouting. So once you're committed, that's the next step, get in front of professional scouts. So I still likely would have been at that event. I don't know, what else could have changed.
Yeah, right,
But
right
but I
place at the right time, man.
but I'll tell
And
you, Daniel, the thing about it, 17% of our audience is under 18, right? And so for the younger, athletes listening, understanding, what those days and putting everything you can into the right people watching, what it means, because we see guys or girls go under the radar all the time, right? How did this person? And it's because, when they had the opportunity, they didn't shine. So it's about taking advantage of those opportunities. You can't miss those.
definitely.
Yeah.
So at what point do you go, you know what? Now Oregon is in the mix, and now that's where I want to go. So how do we get from, all right, I had this amazing day at this showcase, and now I've got this attention. How does it get from there to I'm committing and going to Oregon?
It ties into that day. Head coach here at Oregon, Mark Wasikowski, at the time was a coach at Purdue. And I'm 90% sure he was at that event and had his recruiting, either that or his recruiting coordinator at the time, was there and reached out to me and talked to me about going to Purdue. What would it take? There was no offer on the table, anything like that, but just getting to know each other, building a relationship. And then I hear Purdue head coach headed to Oregon. I'm like, I like the sound of that. I like Oregon. And he hires a pretty kick-ass staff, with one of his first hires being Jack Marner, who at the time was an assistant at Stanford. And Marner played here in the past and has a lot of emotional and historical connection to Eugene and the university. And I think I was one of his first phone calls as the recruiting coordinator here. And it was different than anything else that I'd heard since that day. You know, you get the call and you say, "Hey, Coach so and so from so and so university. You know, we like what we see. Love to get to know you. This, that, and the other." You know, and that's about it. That's how a typical first phone call would go. And I think Martyr called me and he said, "Hey, Anson, Jack Martyr, hitting coach at the University of Oregon. I saw you play today. I thought you were all right. Here's what you did wrong." And I sat there on the phone and listened to him tell me what I sucked at for an hour. And I was in the middle of dinner and I told my parents, like, "Hey, I got to take this." And I don't think I came back to dinner. I just was getting coached and I'd never talked to this guy before. And I left that phone call and I was like, okay, like this is cool. You know, I like this guy. And I was still playing the waiting game. You know, it was still middle of the summer. I wanted to take a visit. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I can play for him. And I know Waz is, you know, a very similar person. So
I like that he
that
shot you straight. We ask all the time, would you rather have the painful truth or a comforting lie? And it seems the way you're made up, you want the truth. Shoot it to me.
yeah, and I think he knew that. You know, he's good at his job. He knows how to recruit different guys. But he hit it right on the head with what I wanted to hear, and you know, the kind of coach that I like to play for.
I mean, nothing is psychologically like a game than telling you what you did wrong so you can go, "Oh, really? Well, here's what I can do. So I'm going to prove you wrong. And by the way, I'm going to come to your school and I'm going to show you. I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to show you."
Yeah, and it's all in the right intention. It wasn't just, "Hey, like I think you're all right, and you know you're going to be an average player." He's like, "Hey, I think you can be good." So he buttered the biscuit a little bit there. You know, they all got to do it. But he told me what I needed to get better to be a Division I player.
Yeah, absolutely. So you obviously end up in Eugene. You know, once you get there, what are the emotions like? I mean, you talked about, being a fan in middle school, talk about being a NorCal guy. Like, what's it like once you get up there?
Yeah, it's what you'd expect and more. You know, it's amazing up here. Eugene itself is beautiful. The Pacific Northwest is unbelievable. I don't know if you know much about Oregon or see much of it, but man, it's unlike a lot of other places. Um, the university itself, you know, campus is amazing. Classroom, like everything's top notch here. It's hard to beat. And then you dive straight into athletics, and that's when it really gets impressive.
Yeah, now you see the pictures of up there in Oregon and like you said, the Pacific Northwest, and it's because we haven't been there, it looks like they're filtered, right? Like everything just looks too beautiful to be true type deal. Um,
Right.
but talking about the athletics, we came up, Daniel, you remember, I mean, Oregon, especially they were obviously they got back to being up there this year, but when we were growing up, they were the upper echelon and they were always on TV, the must see, the uniforms are always just best of the best. So for you going to the football games, man, just how electric has that been?
Autzon's unbelievable, man. You know, not the biggest stadium, not the most fans or whatever it may be. We packed the house, but it's by far the loudest thing I've ever been a part of, and I think it's recognized as that in college football. You know, it's a playing experience that's unlike any other, I'd imagine, as a football player. But as a fan, you know, it matches it. It's a great time. You know, the people there are always awesome, and you know, it's always a good football game. You know, there's always one good team on there. It's whether the other team can keep up with us. So
No doubt, Daniel. We got to put that on the bucket list, man. We got to get up to Eugene.
Yeah, I
okay,
heard it's one of the loudest stadiums in the country.
I mean, I'm
yeah.
trying. I'm trying to get. The thing is, man, it looks really pretty during the winter, but we don't like cold weather, so can't do that.
Early fall, you know, get up while it's still close to summer.
Yeah,
Uh,
no,
First
no,
game of the
I mean, hey,
season.
it never rains in Anson Stadium, so you don't got to worry about it.
that's what they say in Baton Rouge too, in Death Valley, and it always rains. So let me ask you, man. I was talking about the uniforms, like non-biased. Like I think they got the best uniforms kits. Don't matter which sport you're talking about. Like I mean, always coming up with these alternates, like best uniforms in the country, right? Like when you look at all the athletics.
Yeah, across the board. You know, we're baseball's at a funny spot right now because we've been wearing the same sets for a few years, and we're actually getting new ones this year. But I can't tell you anything about them because I don't even know what it looks like yet.
Oh, look at
I
that.
wish I had a little more info for you.
Yeah.
But
Anson,
no, we're
with the
supposed to be fighting it up.
with the combinations that we see, obviously, it seems like there's just unlimited numbers of color schemes and combinations. Be real. There's got to be some where you look at it and you go, I'm not really a fan of this one. Because I'll be
There's
honest, like there are some where I'm like, man,
You're an old school cat. That's why you're probably the one
that
that
is
didn't like.
loud.
You probably didn't like the breast cancer ones that were black with the pink on them, did you? But I loved them.
I, no, those are fine. I'm just saying. I mean, green can be a loud color, and yellow can be a loud
So you're
color.
probably talking about the ones that look throwbackish that kind of got the Mighty Duck feel to it.
I'm not. I'm not pointing. I'm not saying there's one uniform in particular. I'm just saying in general, they could have some loud combinations. Is there one that he does not prefer, or all of them like they come out pristine? You're like, man, these are gonna hit.
once you're surrounded by the colors, green gets you just fall in love with it. So I can't tell you that I've ever seen something that's apple green and I haven't liked it.
Well, fun fact: green is my favorite color.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think the two schools, and I said this when I had Vance Honeycutt on from North Carolina. I think the Tar Heel blue, and I think when you go with the Oregon colors, like I just don't really find uniforms for either of those schools that I don't like. So I'm down with it. But off the uniforms, getting into baseball, man, you redshirt freshman year because of an injury. Talk to us about this injury. Because it says you played one game. Did it happen in that game? What's the injury? How'd it happen?
Yeah, so I came in my freshman fall with a little bit of a elbow issue going on. Never knew what it was. Just basic tendonitis was always you know what I was told it was. But I took some time off in the fall. Took more time off, just kind of battling the injury. Never really got a roll going. Um, and then come springtime, right before the first road trip of the spring, I had a pretty big blow up in a practice that really caught my attention. Nothing like popping or anything, nothing tore. But I had to get some MRIs to really figure out what it was. And this was basically the day before we left for that USD series. So I still went on the trip. I was lucky enough to earn the spot on that travel trip, and they gave me an AB there. I pinch hit in the late inning. But once we got home, I got an MRI, and they were finally able to tell me what it really was. And I had some stress fractures forming in my elbow. Not fully fractured yet, but just a stress reaction that was causing a lot of pain. And they basically told me like, hey, like you can either really try to deal with it and risk fracturing your elbow, or you can shut down for 12 weeks, which puts you out, 12 of the 16 weeks of the season. And then after taking 12 weeks off, you have to slowly progress for another 4 or 5 to get back up to playing speed. So I was basically out. And of those 12 weeks of no throwing, I also couldn't lift or hit for the first 6. So it was a lot of just hanging out, just catching and learning. So that year ended up being a tough one for me. First real injury in my life that held me back from something like that. Felt like the worst, time that it could be. But I learned a lot. There's a lot of positives. I kept the spirits really high and learned a lot from the guys that were currently playing and the coaches. So, it could have been one of the better things that's happened to me in respect to just making me who I am and kind of that stoicism and really just, accepting things for how they're going, trusting the Lord.
Yeah, Daniel. I mean, he's almost every great athlete we've had on here talked about what they were able to get out of the red shirt year, what they're able to learn. I mean, I love it when you're able to take the positive. Yeah, it sucks. You're not playing, but being able to take advantage, like you said, watching the other guys learning, checking it out, like it's one of those things. It's make the best of what you got and take advantages. So
Some people get into the game and they're like, this level is moving so fast. But when you're around it, you don't necessarily have to play it, but to see it and to practice it and to do it and to be around it, like it slows itself down for you to where when you are ready, it's just a normal day. It's no speed. You're like, all right, I got this. So I can understand like having that chance to kind of take a step back and kind of, all right, cool. I'm getting healthy. I'm getting ready, but also like I'm eager because I know I can compete.
and
Yeah, 100%.
And I'll say this, coming off the injury, it's one of those things that no one on the other side, because you were dealing with pain, you were dealing with that stress, like you're going to be better on the other side. Like that's the thing, nowadays in baseball, especially like you have the surgeries, coming out on the other side, you're probably going to feel better than you did before. And man, sky's the limit with a guy of your caliber. So with that season, what do you think was the one thing that was most important that you were able to learn?
I think the biggest thing was learning how to listen to my body and just taking each day, for what it is, and kind of just that joy of finding the little things. That it added a lot of perspective to my life. I'd never been, shot down like that before, and just to really be my first time to have to get back up and just keep going and finding the positives was definitely huge. And like really the biggest thing you learn is just how much you miss it. When baseball gets taken away from you, you never want to miss another day. And that time, one of the biggest things that happened to me was not being able to throw. And basically I told myself like, hey, once I'm healthy, like I'm not throwing again. As long as my body will let me, I'm gonna keep doing it because I know how much I'll miss it.
Yeah, out of curiosity, thinking about it, you talked about the weight that you had to put on, the time in the weight room, and then you talked about having to not work out for 6 weeks. How much weight did you lose that you had to put back on?
Believe it or not, I actually gained a lot of weight because I
Really?
couldn't do it. I did lower body workouts with like a barbell on my back as long as it wasn't in my hands. I couldn't squeeze anything with the forearm flexors connecting to the elbow. Um, but not playing and sitting through 3 4 hour baseball games with a bin of snacks behind you, I ate a lot, dude. Like I'm not kidding. I put on probably 15 pounds that spring. I think it's the heaviest I've ever been. I think I finished that spring like 208.
Well, that just pisses me off, Daniel, because this man didn't even work out for this. I seen his pics on IG. The man got a 6 pack. Man, I eat snacks. I ain't never getting it back, bro. Oh, no.
You could.
No, but let's talk about some baseball, man. Now that you get through the injury, you play in 17 games last year. You're finally able to get in some action. You're able to take that first year, learn, feel it, like Daniel says, slow it down, watch it. Now that you're in it, how did it feel, meet to your expectations of what it was going to be like once you finally got in there?
Well, so there's another key part that I should really hit on before we get into the season. But as soon as that freshman year ended, uh, my first game of summer ball, I tore my meniscus and had to get knee surgery. Um, so that stacks 2 consecutive injuries in the course of that
Okay,
first
yeah,
year.
it said that you only played the 17 because you were injured. I just actually thought maybe the original injury carried over. Okay.
Right. So I stack a knee surgery on top of the elbow injury, and I can't catch all fall. I'm just DHing a little bit, starting to run again after those 4 months of recovery. Um, and I was ready to catch in January, and then I tore an additional ligament that didn't require surgery right at the start of our spring season. So I was battling a lot of little bang ups in my right knee that kept me from catching early in the season. I don't think I was ready to catch until a few games into pack play. So being able to jump in and DH and pinch hit and playing those, I think you said 17 games.
Yeah.
Uh, I consider that a huge success with what my body was allowing me to do. And I learned a lot from, still needing to prioritize my health and really figure out what I had to do to get myself to the right spot to play.
Crazy. Gonna have to put you in some bubble wrap, but no, you had the upper body injury, then you had the lower body. I guess you were able to level yourself out, right? Like, because then you were just working out the top half.
Yeah, now we're good.
Yeah. So when you did get to them 17 games going into the question, now that you get through these injuries, like you said, especially coming into Pac-12 play, how did it, once you were finally into action, how did it feel meeting your expectations?
Yeah, no, it felt great, man. The first collegiate hit, the first collegiate bomb, all those things, like there's nothing more exciting than that besides, the next one that, I hope to get this year. But yeah, just helping the team win, the team that we had, being a part of that and seeing runs go up on the board and feeling like I'm a part of the group and really, performing. It was a feeling that you don't really get from anything other than, any sport. So it was really, really exciting.
Yeah, so you guys as a team, obviously amazing season, end up in the Vandy regional. We actually both had you picked, but I don't know if it was as much as I'll be honest with you, like we're straight shooters. I don't know if it's as much as we believed in you, as much as we disliked Vandy, but either way, we picked you guys. And so we were not brokenhearted at all when y'all beat them, beat Xavier, So talk about that. You come in there as an underdog in Nashville. Vandy's a historic program, but you go into their house, you're able to take care of them, take care of Xavier, man. Just talk about what that was like as a team.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was incredible. We were just coming off of one of the best weeks of baseball, winning the Pac-12 tournament, which is an experience unlike any other. And then the selection show, hearing that we were going to go to Vanderbilt and seeing the reactions of the guys was unbelievable. Like everyone was just ready to go. Like if we could have hopped on a charter that moment, we would have. So we got out there. There's always the cool stuff of seeing. It's Vanderbilt's program. They've invested a lot of money in it. There's plenty of cool stuff to see. But it was a business trip, man. There wasn't a whole lot of sightseeing going on until after we won. And then after that night, you go walk around the campus a little bit and enjoy the
Man,
winning
I hope
feeling.
y'all walked up down Broadway Avenue and let them know y'all was there and y'all took care of business.
Yeah, we finished that game though real late. There's some weather delay going on in those games leading up to playing us, and I think we finished that game at almost 1:32, eating dinner after midnight. It was crazy.
And being that you were in Nashville, I'll tell you, you got a like really a misperception of probably SEC stadiums because I was there, in the fall watching them play Wake Forest, and it's such a small stadium compared to the rest of the SEC stadiums. I mean, I bet PK Park's probably a lot better. I don't know what y'all's attendance is, but
Yeah, no, the seating behind home plate, especially, there's not a whole lot there. It's a smaller, kind of older looking stadium, not a whole lot of foul territory. This is Vanderbilt I'm talking about, but the outfield seating was definitely cool. So that's something that we wish to add to PK Park here sooner than later once we get those attendance numbers up consistently.
yeah. So let's get into that. Y'all end up getting to be at home for Super Regional, something that y'all probably weren't expecting. You as a or obviously sorry, but obviously getting the experience in now. What was it like being in PK Park, having that atmosphere? I saw it on TV, so I know that the crowd was all into it. What's it like for you as a player on the field?
Unbelievable, to feel like that's what PK should be feeling like, and we hope to get that right back to that level. When you're competing for championships, people want to watch and people want to support. Duck fans are Duck fans, and they like when we win. So we're gonna, everything we work for each day is to get PK looking like that again, and playing in that environment. But the weather was amazing. All the people out there were crazy. It was loud as it gets. Listening to shout was incredible. And hearing the chants and everything up to the last pitch of every game was unbelievable.
Absolutely. So coming into this season, one of the cool things I found with following you is your videos catching, your teaching, your training. Talk about what inspired you to start doing that, putting those videos out, showing what you're doing and working on.
Yeah, I was thinking about it last year. I've always wanted to do it. I was hesitant just because I didn't know how to. Uh, but I started just kind of throwing some stuff out there initially just for fun, just because I saw some trends and liked it. And then I took some media day pictures and threw them up there. And then once the following started building, I just decided to turn it into more of an instructional thing rather than just for fun or just for the likes or just for the following. I didn't want to do it for the wrong reasons. And I thought about it and I was just thinking back to when I was a kid, like what I would have wanted to see. What kind of instruction can you get from next level players that isn't already out there? So that's what kind of inspired the routine videos, the catching, skills and the hitting videos and all that kind of stuff. And then all for the rest of it is just filling in the behind the scenes. People like seeing what college athletes do.
Right. Daniel, the first people I think of, the kids who maybe can't afford to go to the really expensive camps, right? Like get the best on best training. He gives them an opportunity to get training from him on there, be able to see things. Like those are the first ones I think of. Don't you, Daniel?
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about it is that you're growing a game and keeping it fresh for young players because when I was a young player, one of the things I think that was lacking was baseball is a very traditional sport. It's America's pastime. So like a lot of the drills and things and techniques and just everything was very old school, and in fact to the point where like if it wasn't in Ron Polk's baseball Bible, like he just didn't do it. And so now like you have YouTube, you have all these platforms where you can go on and you can see like state of the art training and drills and things that you never think of. And I'm sure you're the same. You probably do your research, you do your homework, you probably see things all the time. You're like, oh man, that's pretty good. Let me try that, or let me modify that to help me do something that I'm struggling with, or that's just crazy, that's dumb, or I really like that, and everything in between. And I think that's important to be able to do, especially for young players. So my hat's off to you, because one of the big things that we like to do is grow the game, and there's no better way to grow the game than to get young people interested and to develop their talents.
Yeah.
Daniel, I started thinking about Evan Russell when Tony V told him he was going to be a catcher for the first time, and he started getting on YouTube looking up videos.
Man,
You got to catch Ben Joyce, Chase
I,
Burns,
I
Chase
would have been
Dollander.
like, nope. He might as well have started riding bulls.
And I'm telling you, man, it was so fun having Evan on here talk about this dude talking about he couldn't sleep at night knowing he had to catch these dudes. He was not a catch. There was false reports out that he caught in high school. He put that to bed real quick. He did one game where he stepped in anyway. And so yeah, this guy's got to transform himself into a catcher. And oh yeah, you get to do it with like three of the best, and all the way, or oh, by the way, coming out of the bullpen, we got a guy who can throw 104 miles an hour.
Right. That's funny.
But, this fall, man, talk to me about it. Y'all been having your scrimmages, your exhibitions. How do you feel about the team? And with that, tell us some batters that, we should really be looking out for that stood out.
Yeah, we've got a good group this year. We're a pretty new Oregon baseball team, I'd say. We filled a lot of the gaps that we lost. We had a lot of turnover last year, but we filled the holes from the transfer portal and the incoming classes that we had recruited. They do a good job with that and filling our offense. But one of the biggest steps we made is definitely with the pitching staff. We brought in a new pitching coach as well. Our old coach is head coach at New Mexico State now. And he's, jumped right in and taken off with his staff and really gained control of the guys and getting the guys a lot better. So I'm excited to see the guys throw, especially, and then our offense is going to do what we do, and we're going to bang. Specific bats that you asked for, Jacob Walsh, he's our big lefty, freshman All-American 2 years ago, and now he's a junior, ready to take off and, be a leader in our offense. Bennett Thompson is another catcher here, who caught a lot last year, and he's a great right-handed bat. We have some young guys that are going to step in, some new infielders, and then some big bats in the transfer portal that we got in guys like Justin Casella, Jeffrey Hurd, both outfielders. But yeah, no, it's going to be big time. There's a lot of bats, and there's plenty more that I didn't mention. There's guys
Yeah,
that
no, I know you could do it all day. I
guys
was
that
just
guys that
thinking of,
can swing, everywhere. So I'm excited to really see the performance happen.
yeah, no, guys can always list off the whole team. It's, giving the listeners a couple guys that they can really look for. You talk about the pitching staff, that's the beauty of being a catcher, man. You get to see these guys, just, how electric their stuff is. Same thing. Obviously, you could probably list them all, but give us a couple guys that really this fall just really stood out to you.
Yeah, we're lucky to get a guy like Isaac Aon back. He's a guy that went down last year with a elbow repair and didn't throw at all for us last year, so we're missing him. He got picked up in the 20th round without throwing any pitches last year, and decided to come back for us. So he's going to be big time. Big frame righty that's going to throw gas. We got other guys in the portal. RJ Gordon's back in the same situation that Aon's in. Guys like Turner Spoljaric that took off at the end of last year. Back for round two. Big time starters like Kevin Sider out of the portal, as well as some veteran experience and guys like Bradley Mullen and Brock Moore. Brock's a guy that was at an NAI or D3 NAI in Menlo. that shows up here and is pumping 98, 99, 100 miles an hour. So, we got some guys that can chuck it, and it's gonna be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I have high expectations. For Oregon, I did the research and saw everything that you've been saying, and with that, everybody in the country really seems to be on Oregon State. And I ask you this, the trip to Corvallis this year for your team, is it one of those things? Obviously, you talk about business, and every weekend is business. You don't look over anybody. When it comes to them, they're your rival. They're the team that everybody's picking. Just how excited will you be when that trip comes and a chance for Oregon to prove themselves that they're the team that's being overlooked?
No, it's gonna be time to shine. It's gonna be time to perform, step up. I can't discredit them. We know they're gonna be good, and I hope they know that we're gonna be good. Um, and we're gonna take a trip up there, and we've got that little bit of a chip on our shoulder. We haven't handled business the way we should have the last couple of years, and it's time for my group, this junior class to really step up and do some damage against these guys, and really wrap up this pack play the way that we want. This last year of Pac-12, and not necessarily for sure the last year of the rivalry, considering baseball is a long season. We can always schedule, weekend series against them. But this year's going to mean something to us, and we're ready to go with it.
Yeah, Daniel, it's one of those things that we don't think about as much because we're not out there. But yeah, for these guys, it means a lot, man. It's the last one.
Yeah, what I hope is, these guys are close enough in proximity. Like that's a midweek game, when it's all said and done. Like that should be important to, Oregon State and Oregon to want to have that game. I mean, the difference in baseball is like it's much easier to play those games because you play such a heavy schedule. Like one loss here or there isn't gonna, like in the midweek's not gonna deter you. I mean, we see it all the time. These big schools will play midweek games and they'll lose, a lot. Not a lot, but they'll have losses, but it's because there's reasons for it. They schedule, certain guys or certain teams, or they play it a certain way. But I'm always about trying to maximize your potential by playing the best. And so whether you win, lose, or draw, I still think it's important for recruiting. It's important for just the history of the rivalry, and it's important for the players who care about it. So hopefully that continues. But Anson, man, you're off the hot seat, bro. We're ready to have some fun and play a little game. You down to play?
Love it.
All right, man. So this game is called This or That. And I'm going to tell you, man, it's oftentimes imitated but never duplicated. The This or That game. Jim, who's it brought to you by?
Chinook Seedery, which, here soon, Anson's going to be an ambassador, man.
Let's go. You had Chinook seeds yet?
I've actually never had them, but I'm excited to try it out.
Oh, buddy, you're in for a treat. All right, so you're talking about jumbo seeds. You're talking about the best flavors, mild to wild. You're talking garlic parm. You're talking cinnamon toast, smokehouse barbecue, dill pickle, jalapeno ranch. The list is endless. The combinations of what you can do with these are amazing. And we've taken it a step further here on the In Off the Bench podcast. Is every week I have taste tested a flavor and I've given it a rating. I've gotten to the point now this season 9, where I'm mixing two flavors to see if I can come up with an ultimate combination. So this week, the combination is smokehouse barbecue and dill pickle.
Oh, gross.
So let me tell you.
Why would you do that to him?
Because I dill pickle, when I look at the packaging,
it's Oregon.
It's Oregon. It's 100% Oregon. So I said, all right, I'm going to take one of my, favorites, smokehouse barbecue, and throw it in with one of my, least favorites, but the color scheme is there, and we'll see what happens, bro. But today you get the opportunity to choose the name of this combination. All right. I've narrowed it down to 3, so I'm not putting you on the spot to where you got to come up off the fly with a name, but I'll give you 3 that you can pick from: smokehouse barbecue and dill pickle. The first name, I'm kind of a big deal. Get it? Like dill pickle.
You're
No,
such
I
an
like it.
idiot.
Number 2 is el burro, which is donkey in Spanish, because the donkey, it has two sides. It has that spicy side like a smokehouse barbecue, or it has that kind of lethargic, dopey side like a dill pickle. All right. And then
All right.
third is the prickly pear, because when I think of dill pickle with a little bit of smokehouse barbecue kick, I think about a cactus, and the prickly pear is a type of cactus. So those are your
Bro,
options.
your master's degree is really shining right now.
Hey, I'm telling
There's a
you,
lot of creativity in that.
I'm putting it out there. So here we go. Without further ado, let me throw 3 of each in. Let's see how this goes. This is great listening for the fans, because
I feel a real low rating coming right now. Anything with dill pickle, I have no faith in.
tangy, pretty tangy.
That face is not selling me for an 8 or above right now.
All right. So initial reaction. It's not very good. All right. It's gonna be down there. And the reason being is because the dill pickle is just like, when I think about smokehouse barbecue entering the dill pickle world, I'm thinking like, I'm going to taste some of this barbecue flavor, and I just don't. It's just overpowered by dill pickle. So unfortunately,
Oh, it's getting the lowest rating. I see it.
6.8,
Mm.
6.8, which is the lowest rating so far. Not good, not bad.
Maybe
not
you can
terrible.
save it with the name. You know, Anson can pick the right name. Maybe we can get somebody on it.
Yeah. I mean, if you like dill pickle with a after kick, you'll like this.
I'll see if Ty Floyd likes it, because he's dill pickle's his favorite.
So, Anson, what do you got? I'm kind of a big deal. The El Burro or the prickly pear? What are you going to go with?
I like the prickly pear. I just don't see exactly how it ties to, well, I see the thought, but I can't go prickly pear without there being like a pear flavor in it.
Okay.
So I think I'm between El Burro and I'm kind of a big deal, but I think you got to go. I'm kind of a big dill and just straight up say dill in it.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that's what we got to go with.
There it is. There you have it, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
feel unqualified to be on.
Deal.
I feel unqualified to be on this episode. All of a sudden, I got 2 smart people, and I just don't feel right here anymore.
All right. Well, we'll see you later, Jim. Have a nice
I mean,
night.
you don't need me. This or that's on deck. Like, this ain't my portion. So,
Well, we've named the worst flavor combination to date. So let's get into the game. This or that. I'm going to give you 2 options. You choose one or the other. Can't say both. Can't say neither. Be decisive. Pick the first thing that comes to your mind or whatever comes to your heart. You got it?
Daniel, do you want to know why I'm the producer? Look at that first question after he sat here and talked about tacos with you. That's not even a normal question. And I put that on there, and it wasn't on purpose, but I can say it was.
I mean, okay. Tacos. That's the topic of question 1. Chicken or beef tacos?
I'm going chicken street tacos.
All right. What about chicken or like a steak? Like a nice like cube steak?
Yeah, if it's like the right carne asada, I'll go steak. But chicken's always the safe one, and it's always good.
True. Cowboy hat or baseball hat? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, you are.
Cowboy hat or baseball hat?
I'm gonna go baseball hat because I'm never not wearing a hat. But I do like to wear my cowboy hat as much as I can. If there's ever an opportunity, if it's like a wear it to the field kind of day, throw some boots and a buckle on, or going to PBR event was the most recent time I wore it. I took some media day pictures in it the other day, so I do like to wear it.
Yeah, so you read it right, Daniel, and I knew that when he was telling his story, it would come in, and obviously the ranch came in early. So,
well, it was typed Cowboys hat, so I'm thinking, well, is this guy a Cowboys fan? Because I am. I mean, we could.
like I said, I'm not the educated one, so of course I I had a typo.
All right, next question is a question that is like Jim put on here, and it is completely taken off. Liquid soap or bar soap?
Liquid soap.
What if I told
No.
you liquid soap only cleans 50% of your hands when you use it?
Are we talking just hand soap?
Yeah.
Just hand soap? Yeah,
Mhm.
I like the convenience of the liquid. I don't like the
Mhm.
bar just sitting on the counter.
He's not cleanly, Daniel. That's all. 'Cause I actually made the 50% up thing. I just like seeing if that sways anybody.
Because my man Anson, he's a genius. He
Hey,
knows soap.
so far I got one. Me and Vance Honeycutt, we bar soaps. Let's go.
Yeah.
Because y'all are living under lies.
He's a defensive player of the year. That's all I know.
Well, green uniforms or white uniforms?
Uh, I don't know what our new ones are gonna look like, but the past ones that we've worn, I was a big fan of the Sunday greens. I like the contrast with the green jersey and the white pants. All white's a good look, but I like the greens a lot.
Is that your favorite uniform?
My favorite uniforms are black uniform that we typically only wear on the road. Uh, but something about black and yellow is a good combo.
Gotcha. What do you value more, your hair flow or a six pack?
I think I could go without the flow. I think I'd like to keep myself in good shape as long as I can.
Let me tell you something. Hair will come and go. But let me tell you, hang on to that six pack as long as you can.
Man, I can't get mine back. You said I can get mine back, Daniel. That's a lie, man. I've tried. It ain't ever coming back.
Do you ain't gonna like what I have to tell you to get it back,
I'm
but
not gonna eat right, man. No, even when I ate right and lost all that weight, I still only could see four. I could never see the last two. They won't come.
because you quit too early. All right, costume party or pool party?
My birthday's on Halloween, so I'm a little
You're biased. Okay.
biased to the costume side, being that typically that's when I'm wearing a costume.
You
Celebrating a birthday.
are you a guy that will go, all right, I'm gonna do a combination Halloween birthday party, or do you separate it like, no, this is my birthday and this is Halloween?
No, what the nice part about having the birthday on Halloween is you don't have to host. There's always stuff going on, and your friends are always doing something. So
Yeah,
True.
my
I love
birthday
it.
party's at your house, bro.
It's just wherever everyone else goes, and then happens to be my birthday.
All right. The next one is kind of a strange question, but hear me out.
I
All
thought
right.
about not putting it on there anymore. It's so strange.
It's very strange. Would you rather, if you had to pick one of these options for the rest of your life, would you rather kiss like a baby with open mouth or kiss like a dog where you can just lick?
I'm gonna go.
It's a silly question.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like a baby. I think I don't know if I could just lick people.
I
I don't
know.
know.
I
Just
think only I think you the first person you asked that to was Daniel was Josh Hartle, and he said lick. He even licked on the screen, which is odd. But ever since then, it's been all open mouth. I think he's the first and the last.
yeah, I think so. Maybe we do get rid of it. Maybe this is that's
I had to put it.
that's
I mean,
that's
you
the
developed that
extent of
question
the
because
question.
you developed it because you had a baby. I figured I'd keep it in there because I mean you deal with open mouth kisses every day with your baby.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy, and there's a teething, and there's a lot of drool, and it's a lot. Let's just put it that way. All right, would you rather be lost in a jungle or trapped in a haunted house?
I'm going jungle. I don't like the haunted stuff, even with the Halloween connection. I think my chances of survival are better in the jungle, even though the haunted house might not be real.
That's what so you're not the only one in that boat, but I always go back with that is like in the jungle, there's things that really exist. But in a
Right.
haunted house, like you can't convince me personally that those things exist. So like how is that like I just don't
I know
understand.
the tiger at night really will kill you.
Exactly. The potential of seeing a ghost that scares the shit out of you for 5 seconds, that could be there, maybe.
I don't know, man. If
True.
we're if we're talking hypotheticals and they were both real, I think I'd rather go out in the jungle than a potentially real haunted house.
All right. All right. All right. Last question. Would you rather be the number one overall pick in the draft, or would you rather win a national championship? No.
Definitely not. I don't think there's any experience that could match winning a national championship like that. You know,
What if I
people go,
told you the price was last year for the number one pick was $10 million? So basically, it's like I'm bringing you a suitcase full of crisp $100 bills to the sum of $10 million. And I say, Anson, here you go, brother. It's either this or this national championship. You pick.
I bet on myself. I think I'm going to make some money one way or another. I don't think you just win a national championship one way or another. So I'm gonna take the experience of winning a chip.
Daniel, let me ask you this. All right, so he's the 11th guest of this season. Obviously, upward of 40 guests in this season. Only Aiden Jimenez from Oregon State has said give him the money. Will he be the only guest? Because it is rare that people say the money. Or do you say there'll at least be one more?
I think there's at least going to be one more. I think Rock Taylor would tell. My money is on Rock Taylor.
Well, that's not fair. You're going to pick the guy who comes from an area where he has no money at all. That's not cool.
Well, you asked me and I told you. I did my research, man. No, I don't know. I think people will gravitate towards the team aspect because I mean, this is a sports podcast. We're getting their story about them and their team. So I think they're going to lean towards that, but I think when real comes to real and somebody put a suitcase of money in front of you, like my bet is on the money. Just saying. Now, for me, it's a money thing because of where I'm at in my life. Like I know that $10 million in my life right now would completely alter the trajectory of my life and my kids' life, and it would be selfish of me not to be able to do that. If I was playing college baseball, then it might be selfish of me to take the money. So like I definitely see and respect everyone's point of view and what they decide. So, but Anson, man, you are off the hot seat, brother. Anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, just thank you guys. You know, this was an awesome, great production, and just really enjoyed talking with you guys. You guys do a great job here, and I'm excited to really watch this as well as other episodes in the rest of the season. Definitely going to be a fan now.
Daniel, as I say, I got a fun fact for you while we're plugging stuff. Him and Aiden Jimenez are going to be on the hot corner next week to fill everybody in on Oregon and Oregon State and Pac-12 baseball. So we're plugging two guests together. They're gonna be friends forever.
Y'all gonna be able to? Y'all gonna be all right?
We'll see what we can do. I think I actually took a flight home with the guy. We're from the same kind of area near Sacramento. So I think we'll be able to tough it out for at least one day.
Speaking of being from the same area, did you play with Blake Burke? Because Scott Burke commented on my photo and said you're a great guy, and I started thinking about where Blake was from.
Oh yeah, no, we played together since 8th grade all the way through high school. A few events. We were both in that NorCal travel ball circuit and did some like other event stuff, area codes, PG National. All that
He been
stuff.
hitting nukes since 8th grade.
Well before that too. He tore up. I'm sure he tore up 9U baseball too.
I heard in T-ball they wouldn't let the man hit off the tee.
Nah.
I believe it.
I just know his swing. I was watching it the other day, the videos, and I mean, I'm not trying to put him in the same wheelhouse as Griffey, but it sure does look a hell of a lot like it.
Yeah, and he's had the same swing since he was who knows how old. When it ain't broke, don't fix it, and he sure can hit.
For sure. Because he's got balls floating around in orbit that hadn't landed yet. They're just
that are going through churches a mile down the road.
For real. All right. If you want to know more about Anson, go on over to IG, Anson.Aroz, or go to Oregon Baseball on Instagram. You'll get highlight videos, you'll get pitching rotations, you'll get score updates, you'll get it all. Anson, man, we wish you nothing but the best. Hopefully a healthy, happy, successful season. maybe bringing in a Pac-12 championship for the last time. And who knows, it might be, regionals, super regionals, and we might get to see the Ducks in Omaha. What do you think about that?
I'm sure we'd be happy with that. Let's get it going.
For sure. So
Jello shots in Oregon's name, Daniel, is happening.
yeah, I'll do one for that.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's my favorite color. I'll hit one up for that. All right, man. It's been a great episode. I want to thank Anson for joining us. If you like hearing Anson's story, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, loves. We will take it all. And we'll see everybody. Man, I mean, I got to stop because this is a jam-packed week. We got an episode tomorrow night. We got DJ Primo, LSU baseball. We've got Wednesday. We got Emma Malabayo, UCLA gymnastics. We got Hawaii baseball. We've got Maddie Anderson, Mississippi State soccer all this week. I mean, Jim, I'm just mind blown. You're getting guests left and right. We're filled up. Like,
Traveling the nation.
yeah, I mean, we're worldwide, East Coast, West Coast. We're even going to talk to Ty Atkins in Hawaii, man. It's crazy. But with all that being said, this has been the In Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.